Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the First Half Sports Podcast. This is your boy Brad, aka the Big Mocha, along with my boy
Jaden, aka Jaden Props.
And we got a fantastic episode for you today, so let's hop right into it. So coming up, we're going to recap the AFC Championship game. Of course, it was a disappointing loss for the Ravens. Jaden and I know, both had the Ravens triumphing against the Chiefs in that one, but it didn't turn out that way. It was a sad 17-10 loss. It was a very low-scoring game, but there were a couple of mistakes the Ravens made along there, but there were a couple of mistakes that Lamar made as a team effort. But the overall question, though, is Lamar to blame for this loss? And was the pressure too much for him and the team, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is, I would say it was just pretty much, I know Zay Flowers was the one that fumbled on the goal line, but let's just be real here. If Zay Flowers wasn't doing anything before that, they probably would have had 0 points. So it wasn't, people that are just blaming Zay Flowers, you guys are wrong, all right? I know the game would have been tied, but, Zay Flowers was the reason you guys even had 10 points. Lamar just did not play good. The offense didn't play good. Bringing Mark Andrews back almost kind of seemed like a mistake, because I don't know if that just threw the whole offense off, but the past 6 games without Andrews, they've been great.
Yeah, with Likely just in there, that did kind of mess up. Maybe it could have been messed up a little bit of feng shui, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really blame just Flowers alone. You got to blame the whole offense. In my opinion, I think the defense did their part. They held the Chiefs to 17 points. They didn't even score in the second half. The offense had so many opportunities to try and get the game tied or above, and they could not come through at all.
I definitely do. I mean, you gotta blame Lamar. You got to give Lamar as much credit that you're gonna give him as much blame, or you got to give him as much blame as you gave him credit for in the regular season. I feel like, obviously,
for sure.
Obviously it is a team effort, but he just didn't look like the same Lamar. He was holding the ball a little bit too long. He didn't really seem comfortable out there. He was throwing, overthrowing, underthrowing. Granted, like you said, Zay Flowers did have that fumble loss in the end zone, which forced the touchback. Which, I mean, it was kind of a dumb decision to die for it. I mean, in the moment, obviously, you're trying to get that score, you're trying to get there, but you can go down. You're going to be. It was only second down, so it'd be 3rd and 1. So you still got two drives left. There are 2 attempts there to get a touchdown. You're more than likely going to get it. You got 75 running backs on that team, it feels like. So you're more than likely to get it. So that's a big thing there. Like you mentioned as well, their defense was really good. They gave up 14 points in the first half, but then they gave up 3 in the second half. I think it was 1 field goal in the second half they gave up.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
So, but another big thing too is they abandoned the run game. The Ravens just completely abandoned the run game. They were the number 1 rushing offense in the league. They had damn near 32 attempts per game as far as rushing goes, but they only had 16 that game. And Lamar had the most, I think the majority of them, with 8 rushes. So they abandoned the run for no reason. It kind of seemed like they were trying to outthrow Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to prove something there when they didn't really need to prove anything, because guess what? They already proved it getting there. They just have to keep doing what they were doing. But they abandoned that, something that they were the best at this season, and they looked stale. They looked kind of like the pressure was too much, like they were almost everybody. I've been hearing a lot of that they were too good for their own good, that when they got too far behind, they didn't really know how to react. You know what I'm saying? They were just
they peaked too early, maybe. Well, I guess you couldn't really say that. I mean, you could, but they did it throughout the season. But yeah, it isn't football. It's the playoffs. You play one game, you lose, or you win, or you go home. So Lamar is only 2-4 in the playoffs.
I don't know. And then, of course, next season coming back, you're obviously the AFC is going to be even tighter than it was this year. Joe Burrow is going to be back. There's going to be new offensive weapons for other QBs. There's going to be a whole bunch of new QBs out there. Caleb Williams has a good chance of being in the AFC, depending on who he goes to. So,
hey, real quick, I'm going to just say this right now. Lamar missed his window. All right, Lamar missed his window because Baker's going to be there next year, all right? He missed it. Simply missed it. He ain't winning next year. Baker's going to have that ring on. You know what I'm saying?
So, all right. So you think Baker, okay. All right. What did you just say? What did you just say? You just said that the Bucs are winning the Super Bowl next year. You think Baker's winning the Super Bowl? Or you think Baker and the Bucs are winning the Super Bowl next year?
Yeah. You know how I am with my final picks. You know how I am.
Yeah,
Let's
we
see.
yeah
Let's
yeah
see
we
it.
that show that we recorded earlier this year or last year, later last year. Jaden predicted the World Series winner and the Super Bowl. Who was going to be in the Super Bowl. He also predicted he had his prediction for the winner, but we'll see come Super Bowl if that's going to really happen. But we can insert that clip. We can insert that clip for you guys at the end of this. So that way you can see. I mean, he's a fortune teller. I don't know why you wouldn't follow this man on Twitter and get his picks. He's a fortune teller, literally. He knows what he's doing.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
one thing I do want to highlight though on the Chiefs side of things is Travis Kelce broke Jerry Rice's postseason receiving records. He had 11. He went 11 for 116 yards last game and a touchdown. Pacheco had another big game. He had 68 yards and a touchdown. You have MVS with that big catch, kind of answering everybody's questions and doubts and stuff like that. He had that big catch on the third down, the fourth. That honestly, if he missed it, the Ravens would have had a good chance to go down, score a touchdown, maybe even a 2-point, put them up, or just tie the game going overtime, something like that. But I think that the Chiefs are not looking like the Chiefs, but they're figuring out what they messed up on in the regular season. They're definitely figuring out their downside there. So I was impressed with their win, even though it wasn't a lot of points, but I was impressed with what they did and what they were able to do on the defensive side as well, too. Even though the Ravens and the offense didn't play that well, the defense was still pretty good there. So you got to give it to the
Definitely.
as much as I hate, you got to give it to the Chiefs, and you got to give it to Patrick Mahomes this game. They just played better. You can't make any excuses about it.
They always play better, It's like the new Brady.
Exactly. It's also tough because it's kind of like, exactly like you said, it's the Brady effect. It's one quarterback is always going to beat the other quarterbacks no matter how good his competition is. Brady played against Manning. Brady played against Phillip Rivers. He played against Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, excuse me. He played against Patrick Mahomes and he's beaten him twice in the playoffs. So Brady, it's kind of like the MJ thing. You know what I'm saying? You have all these great players, but they were just never able to beat MJ in the finals or in the playoffs because it was MJ. So, but
hey, let's be real. Brady the GOAT. Brady the GOAT.
Brady is the GOAT. Oh, he's always going to be the GOAT. So it doesn't even matter. He that's not even a question. Brady's the GOAT. But going over to the NFC, side of things here with the Lions and the 49ers game. Very disappointing loss from the Lions. I'm not even a Lions fan, but I was so sad. I was so sad because I wanted them to win, obviously. But they just choked. Now, Jaden, do you think that the Lions lost that game, or do you think that the 49ers won that game?
I think the Lions lost. But I'm also say this. The 49ers, that was a great comeback. That should have never happened. You guys should have ran the ball, 8 in the clock up. They didn't need to do anything. It was 24-7 at halftime. They only scored one more touchdown the whole second half. They let the 49ers get all the way up to 34 from 7. Dan Campbell, obviously, there was a couple fourth downs that they should have just kicked the field goal on. But, his whole play style this year has been going for it and being risky. And, that could be the reason why they're there.
He is one of the best at. He is the best at, literally statistically, at going for it on fourth down. So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but that time, it really caught up to him. That time, it really caught up to him. When it really mattered, it didn't work. So, yeah, the Lions definitely lost that game. 100%. But the 49ers did win too. It was a good comeback. Should not have that. Didn't you think at halftime, like, oh, the Lions got it in the bag?
I thought that whole game the Lions had. Well, not the whole game, obviously. But yeah, definitely at halftime, I thought they had it in the bag.
Yeah.
But they came out in the crazy third. They were just kind of stale. And, I don't really want to blame the Dan Campbell fourth downs decisions. But I really don't think it was that. You gotta produce points. You gotta do something. You can't let them score 17 points against you in the third while you have nothing, and then 27 overall unanswered points until you finally score. They also, kind of messed up at towards the end of the game too, with with running the ball when they were on the 1 yard instead of throwing it, and they still had 3 timeouts left with a minute left, which you could turn that into like 3 minutes. Force them to get a fourth down, turn it over, and then go launch down the field and kick a field goal, go in overtime, or even potentially score a touchdown. So there was some coaching mishaps late in the game, but overall, I think the Lions had a fantastic season. Nobody even expected them to come close to the conference championship, let alone second round or even the first round of the playoffs. Everybody, I feel like, expected them to make, wild card or first round or something like that. But they exceeded everybody's expectations. The 49ers, I think the 49ers, I mean,
They're just a
they
better
won.
team.
They were the better team at the end of the day. The Lions really did lose that game, though. They were up the whole time. They had control. They should have just finished, but they're young, young team in the playoffs. It's, the pressure, they're out there. They're away. It could have been different if they were at home. If going back to that 2-point conversion play all the way back in Dallas, it could have been it. That could have been the whole difference maker there. They could have been playing at home. It could have been way better, but ifs, ands, and buts don't matter there. Now, I do want to ask, still speaking on the 49ers, do you think that Brock Purdy silenced all the haters out there as far as who he is, what he can do, and how he can play?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He just keeps doing it every game. I mean, I like to see it. I like to see these young quarterbacks do good. I like to see different teams doing good. But yeah, Brock Purdy's definitely been proving all of us wrong. I mean, he's good. Yes, he is in a very good system. He's got superstars all around him. He's got a great O-line. But we've seen there's been a couple QBs before him. And, they've gotten pretty far, but they haven't been able to get over that last hump. So now they're in the Super Bowl. I know they were back there in 2019. Same squad pretty much, except CMC and Purdy. I mean, now you got those two in there. They got a great chance at just finishing the season off.
Yeah, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, I still think he did silence some of the haters out there. This is only his second season in the league.
Yeah.
Last season he was in the conference championship, didn't finish it because he got injured. He broke his arm. He had to get surgery on his arm after the game against the Eagles. But he's a perfect 4-0 in the playoffs when he starts. 5-0 I think it is now when he actually starts and finishes the game. He had 267 yards last game with a one touchdown. He did have an interception, but I mean, hey, you're bound to throw an interception once or twice especially in the playoffs, especially against a Lions team like that under those circumstances. But it's only his second season in the league, and he was Mr. Irrelevant too. He was the last pick in the draft. So I think for him to be getting compared to some of the great quarterbacks, I feel like when people are talking about him and then him getting the butt end of the stick when it comes to praise out there, because you always hear, oh, it's Christian McCaffrey runs the ball, Deebo Samuel does this, their defense does this, you know what I'm saying? It's always everything but Brock Purdy. But I think that game he definitely did silence his haters. I don't know what else. I mean, obviously everybody wants him to win the Super Bowl, but I feel like if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to tell him to do it again type of thing, which of course that's what comes with greatness. You can never settle. You can never settle for just one. But I mean, damn, this kid's only in here for the second season.
Yeah, speaking real quick, I just want to cover this real quick. Speaking about his second year, this leaves the 49ers with so much extra cap space because he's on a rookie contract. He's only making $800K a year compared to, the tens, of millions of dollars that all these other superstars are getting. So in these type of scenarios, they need to win this year or next year because we all know Purdy's going to get the bag. As soon as that rookie contract's up, they're going to have to pay him a massive amount. They might have to start getting rid of other people. But while having him right now and next year also, I mean, they're able to just have that juggernaut team. Same thing with the Texans and CJ Stroud. I mean, being able to pay him on his rookie contract, probably going to see a couple other pieces going around him. And they're just going to be Super Bowl contenders in that meantime just because of how stacked their teams are.
And I think they got a couple other rookies. Isn't Tank Dell a rookie and there's receivers rookies too?
Yeah.
So
Tank
I mean,
Dell,
they got a couple good rookies over there that they're going to be on rookies. So that is great. Now, do you think? Ooh, excuse me. Now, what does this mean for the Lions and Jared Goff next season? Do you have, obviously their expectations are higher, but are they going to be Super Bowl contenders every year? What do you think happens to them going into the future? I mean, obviously this is their first time they've ever had a season like this in over 30 years. So what do you expect is next for the Lions? What are your expectations for them going into next season?
Definitely a top 10 team coming into the season. I mean, you got, all these young players, they're still developing the chemistry. I think, they're still trying to, they're on the same page, but it's, a lot of them, it's their first year there, getting used to Goff, getting used to Campbell's play calling. I mean, but personally, I do think like Goff is a good quarterback and everything, but when he's under pressure, I mean, he is so bad. He's so bad. So
yeah.
I don't know what you do if you have another great season and they just flop again like that. Like, I don't know. Because I don't
Well,
think you can just throw a new quarterback in there. Like, that's not how that works.
no, he did very well for them this season. They had one of the best offensive lines as well. They have a rookie, in I forget his name. What the PK Sewell,
They're talking about
whatever.
lineman.
Yeah, Sewell. I forget his first name, but Sewell is his last name. I'm 100%. I'm 95% sure on that. But yeah, Goff was good for him this season. I think next season they definitely have the expectation of being a top 10 team. Definitely at least a divisional round. They got a let's see who's in their conference. They got the Bears, Packers, and Vikings.
Bears, Packers, Vikings. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean I think they definitely need to be division winners in that aspect. They got to win the NFC. What are they in? Central NFC, something like that.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are Central.
Yeah, NFC Central. So they got to win. They got to win their division. At least make it to the second round. I feel like is my expectations for them next season. It's not going to be Super Bowl or bust for them next season. If they made the Super Bowl this season, if they would have beat the 49ers, then it would have been Super Bowl or bust, conference championship or bust if they didn't win it. But this is exceeding everybody's expectations. So if they come out next season and get eliminated in the first round, I think it's going to be a super, super big deal. But they are definitely going to be an expectation of a top 10 playoff team going forward. I guarantee you that. And I don't think anybody's going to see them as anything otherwise. So that's how I feel about the Lions. I definitely have faith in Dan Campbell. I have faith in Jared Goff. I just think get him a couple more pieces, develop that run game a little bit more. I mean, you have Sam Laporta, who was a rookie, who was one of the best tight ends in the season this year. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who was a rookie running back, who after they figured out what to do with him, as you remember his first couple games, he wasn't too big involved in the offense. But they have David Montgomery, who's the workhorse. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who is that spark of life running back. Kind of reminds me of when the Cowboys had Zeke and Pollard. You know what I'm saying? When Zeke was that workhorse, he got the hard third and ones. He had those quick first and eights or whatever, or second and eights after he get a first two carries. But I do like what they have going for them. I think when you develop them a little bit more, they're going to be definitely Super Bowl conversation. I think not next season, but I think in the next 3-4 years, they're going to be Super Bowl conversation all the time. And then maybe they could win a ring within the next 5 years. I think that'd be great. I'd want to see that happen. Just as far as history goes. Just as far as history goes. But if they're going against the Patriots, nah. Because that's the NFC AFC matchup. Because the Patriots are up soon. So
let me just correct you real quick. If they're going against the Bucks, they ain't making it. Listen, I know what happened this year. That ain't happening next year.
So you're gonna see you guys gonna pay Mike Evans? Is that what's gonna happen?
Yeah, Evans is staying.
You think Evans is staying, and then you're gonna sign Baker?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think. I think we're
lost your OC though.
Yeah, I know that does suck, Dave Canales. I thought he was gonna stay, but he's like, oh, we're not. He's like, oh, I'm not getting paid enough. He's like, oh, I'm out of here. So
yeah, he went to. He's on the Panthers now. He's the Panthers head coach. So he's gonna go 1-16 next season.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he should have just stayed on the Bucks. He could have had a ring. Could have had another ring, but hey,
I don't think he's getting a ring anytime soon. But
we'll see.
Speaking of rings, with Patrick Mahomes, let's get to a more realistic conversation here. But speaking of rings,
okay.
Speaking of rings, we have this question that's been floating around. I've been seeing, so I want to get your opinion on it. Well, actually, first off, we were going to bring this up a couple episodes ago, but we didn't. Christopher Mad Dog Russo, who's a legendary radio host, works for ESPN. He has his own Sirius XM radio station. He came up with his list after Sunday's win over the Ravens for the Chiefs. He said that Patrick Mahomes is now atop of Tom Brady for the GOAT. How do you feel about that? Do you think that Patrick Mahomes surpassed Tom Brady this weekend? Do you think that Patrick Mahomes has a chance of surpassing Tom Brady if he didn't this season?
No, not yet. I mean, I get it. He's played in the championship game, every single AFC championship game every single year. He's been in the Super Bowl. He's got 2 rings. He's been in there 3 times. He's going to be in there 4 times, including this one. And if he wins, he's going to get back-to-back. So if he wins, you can put him around that category. but you can't say he's better than Brady until he's got the rings Brady has. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now, I think this may be biased because I am a Patriots fan, but I don't think he's going to need the same amount of rings that Brady's going to have that Brady has per se. I think he needs at least 5 though. He just can't, I don't think he can be GOAT conversation with only 2 or 3. I think he's got to get at least 5, which if he keeps playing the way that he's playing is very doable. I'm not going to lie, but we'll see. Because I think Andy Reid and Travis Travis Kelce, not McKelsey. They're married over there, I guess. But but they're getting older. They could retire soon. So what that would look like without those 2 there, because he is on a 10-year contract, so he's going to be there for a while. He is still young. So this is leading into the next question. Would you rather have Mahomes or Brady in a 1-game win it all type of scenario? Who would you rather take?
Brady. Yeah, I'd rather take Brady. Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened when Brady and Mahomes played each other in the Super Bowl.
That is true. That is true. Now, this is, even though I'm a diehard Patriots fan, like I said. Of course, I love Tom Brady. He's got us all those rings. I am gonna choose Brady. No, don't get me wrong. I gotta choose my boy Brady on this one. But I think honestly that answer could change in a couple of years the way Mahomes is playing. I can't lie. Even though as much as I hate to appreciate him, I guess you could say, as much as I hate on him, he is something that we've never seen before. Now, of course, Brady's playoff stats, they're out of this world. He's got 13,000 playoff yards, 88 touchdowns, 40 interceptions. He's got 7 Super Bowl rings. He's got 10 Super Bowl appearances. So he's just dominant in all aspects. And he did beat Mahomes. He's the 2 times they played in the Super Bowl and an AFC Championship game in 2018 for the when it was Patriots and Chiefs, I believe it was. So with that being said, I do take Brady in this one, but I think in a couple of years I might end up having to take Mahomes just because he's everything that Brady is, but he can run a little bit more. He's a little bit more mobile than Brady was, and I feel like he can do a little bit more. He has a little bit more of a stronger arm, I guess you could say. Now, Brady, as far as being a leader and just an overall winner, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And of course, if you want to sit there and go, well, he had great defenses and stuff like that, that is very true. But you gotta have somebody who can put the passes where they need to be. And he went to a whole different team and won it with a whole different culture with all of that too as well. When he went to the Buccaneers back in 2020, he did that. So if it'd be one thing if it was him and Belichick for all 7. You done? You done with that nonsense? Clapping for the Bucks ring. Get out of here. You didn't even win that.
Hey man, he got you 6 rings. Come on now. Let me have a little glory. Let me have a little glory over here.
You want to know what? Technically that ring is technically ours because he didn't really leave. His heart was still in New England. You know what I'm saying? So his heart wasn't in Tampa. His heart wasn't in Florida. His heart was in Tampa. He won that for New England. He did. He told me personally on the phone that he had. Yeah, him and I.
I forgot you have. Yeah, I was gonna say I forgot you guys had those.
You want to know actually something crazy? When he first came, moved to Tampa when I was at work, his wife Giselle, or excuse me, ex-wife or wife at the time, Giselle. I always forget her last name, but she was at my store shopping, and I didn't even know. And I was helping out a customer, and he was going, hey, so how do you feel about Tom Brady? We were talking about sports or whatever. And I was like, I'm a Patriots fan, so we were talking about that for a little bit. And then when I was checking him out, he asked me again, and I was like, yeah, as a fan, I absolutely hate the man, of course, because I'm a fan of the Patriots. I love the Patriots. I wish he never left. But on a personal level, I understand what he did. I understand why he did it. I can't hate him for that. So I got respect for him as a human being, but as a fan, hate him. And then as I was saying that, the customer looked at me and he goes, hey, and he points his head, and then here comes Giselle walking across, going to leave, and she's walking right in front of me. And then as she's walking, she's smiling, laughing at what I'm saying. So I was like, oh, that was fun. That's fun. Just insulting her husband in front of her. I didn't even know what she looked like either, which is crazy. So I didn't even really register that it was her, but I didn't even care. I would have said it if it was even
crazy.
Him. So, but yeah, no. In a couple of years, I think that Mahomes is gonna take Brady's spot as far as picking him in a 1-game situation. But right now, I got to take my GOAT. I got to take Tom Brady. It is what it is. There isn't anything about it. But
I agree.
But I do want to go ahead and move over to tonight's picks that we have going on. We got today's locks. We got Tuesday's locks, the best segment of the show when we give you guys some money, basically. Basically is what it is. So, Jaden, we got you first. I know it's a small slate, but what'd you carve out of it today? What'd you get?
Small slate, but let me just say, hey, we both cashed last time. We're just going to give you guys our favorite prop for today because there's just a lot of nonsense on the board right now. So, we both got a hot prop for you. So, anyways, the prop I got right now, though, is Scotty Barnes. I got him over 46 fantasy score, and the reason I have him is because he's going against Chicago, and RJ Barrett isn't playing. Quickly is possibly not playing. Jacob Pertl, I hope he plays. He's questionable. Even if he doesn't, Scotty Barnes is projected to play, around 37 to 40 minutes. If the Bulls keep the game close, we all know if Scotty Barnes is in there for 40 minutes, he's well going over 46. But that's what I got for right now. I just got Scotty Barnes over 46 fantasy, but let me hear what your lock is.
So I got a nice little 3-leg coming up today. So I got Pascal Siakam with that taco. So I have that taco going 24.5 PRA against Boston. He's soaring over this line last 5 out of 5. So he's especially against Boston too. If Porzingis is out, I think he's gonna hit it. I like that. Even though I haven't had too much luck on tacos recently, I don't think you have either. But the last 2 tacos were both whiffs. So hopefully we're gonna get third time's the charm. You know what they say, right? So next up, I got Jaylen Brown.
Siakam.
I do too. I do too. I like this one. I think this is gonna be a smacker for sure. We also got Jaylen Brown at 16.5 first half PRA, which is going to be I got it at 16.5. I don't know if it's bumped as of right now, but I got it at 16.5. So I like that number against the Pacers, one of the worst defenses in the league. And Jaylen Brown, that's a low number for him. Even though he's only hit it, I believe it was twice in the last 5, I definitely like his matchup against the Pacers tonight. And we're sticking with honestly, I didn't even realize this until right now, but they're all for the same game. They're all the Boston Pacer games. So I haven't bet on Boston in a while. So hopefully this doesn't come back to bite me in the rear end. But I also have Naismith going for 12.5 points over against Boston. Last time he played Boston, he dropped 17 points. He's hit this line 4 out of the last 5 games. And it's always some sort of revenge game for him against Boston. He used to play for us. We traded him away. Buddy, you just didn't work out. You're not it every time. Every time even if they lose, every time he scores a bucket, he takes a picture and puts it on his Instagram story acting like he did something big. Buddy, chill out, first off. Second off, I do like you though for 13 points. If you can't score 13 points, then don't post anything on Instagram today, please. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say with that. But no, those are my locks. That's my nice little 3-leg that I had going. So, other than that, Jaden, we do got to wrap up the show here today. So, let us know down in the comments below if you guys are tailing us, if you guys are putting in your own props and what they are. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Everything will be down linked in the description. And, we'll catch you again on Thursday with the next episode. Jaden, you got anything else to say?
No, not really. Let's hit these picks tonight, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right. I'll see you. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Listen.